Hello, sisters and brothers. Wanted to record this message today, um, mostly because it's beautiful outside and my boys are only slightly chaotic today. I've been having a thought go through my head a lot recently, and there's going to be noises you hear in the background, and I think that's good. So you hear Ashley typing, you'll hear Isaac demanding whatever it is that Isaac demands. You're probably going to hear Thomas asking for about 9 million things because, well, he's 10. No, that's not too loud. Um, I think it's interesting to note, as we have gone through this pandemic, that as the pandemic started, I heard a lot of people talking about the word grace, which is perfect. It's right up my alley. I love talking about that. However, over the past week and a half, I've also noticed that the anxiety and tension of trying to be a grace filled people seems to have worn down. There is a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of people claiming to know information that seems to be counter to others who claim to know information. And basically, when we were to be grace filled with one another, a lot of times in this world there is a lot of yelling, scathing comments, misunderstandings, and generally a sense of, well, we're not doing this very well. As I have uh, been dwelling on the idea about what it means to be filled with grace and a grace filled people, I've actually thought a lot about people who are in sober living at the same time, which may not make sense at first, but bear with me. I laugh because Isaac is basically, we have a bubble machine out here, and Isaac is finding ways to break it creatively. Sober living requires a full scale change of who the person is. Whether or not somebody agrees with addiction being a disease or not is besides the point, because for those who maintain sober living, they end up making complete wholesale changes. They change a lot of times who some of their friends are. They also find support systems to maintain their sobriety. People, we know them as, hey, honey, what do you call somebody when AA has sponsor, somebody who keeps them safe. Yeah, sorry, a sponsor who, whenever they're having a hard time, whenever they're struggling, Isaac. Sorry, he was using a stick to hit bubbles. Don't you do that? Whenever you have a sponsor, somebody who helps keep you in check whenever you're tempted to, or your instinct is telling you to do the thing that you don't want to do anymore. And so I wonder if we can borrow that idea with each other. I wonder if we can borrow that idea for grace right now. Why? What if we had grace sponsors? People who they're not. It's not that they're perfect, but they have a way of reminding us to, instead of quick yell or post something on Facebook that is righteous self indignation, or something that is saying I'm right, you're wrong. Um, what if what if we actually had grace sponsors, people who helped us lead with grace whenever we struggle to do that? I thought about this today. Actually, I've been thinking about this for a while, and so it was something that I felt. But oh, there's the moose is. Yep, there it goes. Something I wanted to share with you because I'm not going to tell you to get a grace sponsor, but I want to ask you, do you think you would benefit from it? Do you think that you would benefit from having somebody you can call on and say, hey, I'm real angry about something and I want to be real snarky, real snappy. I want to be right. I want to prove that I'm right and prove that they're wrong. Um, because that mentality of being right all the time, it's not the way Jesus operated. Jesus knew what he was, who he was, and, and was God incarnate, and yet he led with grace. In fact, the very one of the last things he says to his disciples in John, the book of John, chapter 14, he says, "My peace I leave you." Um, he doesn't say, "My righteousness I leave you." He doesn't say, everything. You just do it like I do, and or, well, but I don't have a good rambling there. I I'm chuckling because Ashley was trying to refill the bubble machine and it exploded on her, and so now she's covered in bubble, which is soapy water. But and then Isaac got nailed, and he does not like this at all. I actually think that's a pretty good example because it's frustrating. Yep, it was an accident. It was frustrating. It didn't work, but we're gonna try again. We're gonna keep trying. I think if we want to be a grace-filled people, we have to keep trying at it. We have to have people who keep us accountable, who kindly remind us to be grace-filled whenever we want to be angry. I know for me, I really needed that last week. I had run out of my anxiety medication, and I wasn't very patient a lot of times, and so um, it was nice to be reminded to be graceful, and it got me thinking, what are some other places, and who are some other people who might be struggling with this too? And so that's the question for you today. I would like you to consider, what would it be? What do you think it would be like to have a grace sponsor, somebody to help remind you whenever you want to get angry, whenever you want to get grumpy, whenever you feel righteous indignation and frustration, to lead with grace? Um, Grace doesn't. I'm not saying this will fix everything, but I wonder, um, if we continue to live with grace, if we continue to lead with grace, if maybe the world will change as well too. So now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go take care of a kid who decides that he needs to be naked. So I have to go clothe him. Blessings, sisters and brothers. Have a great, grace-filled day.